Hello, we are live today on February 20th, 2026. Today is a Friday, and this is episode number 164. Getting close, not close, closer, I guess, to 200 episodes. And today we got Phil Steichen on, and we're going to be talking about vibe coding your own business intelligence tool. Phil, thanks for being willing to come on today and show us what you've been up to.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This, I think, is going to be one of those episodes that has a lot of related links in it. I just kind of have a feeling. And as always, the related links will be on the episode page at augforums.com, up on the screen there, /episode 164. And before we get into it, I want to set the stage a little bit on what's going on with this idea. This is not really as directly related to Acumatica as a lot of episodes are, but it is still related. And that's what I want to kind of walk through to start here. First off, we met at the Acumatica Summit, which was, I guess, a few weeks ago, or maybe 4 weeks ago at this point. And
a number of weeks ago.
Yeah, you were telling me about this thing that you're playing with, and it sounded super interesting, and figured we'd cover it on the podcast episode. Yeah. But to go back even further, actually, I need to Google this to find out, when did ChatGPT first launch?
About, I think it's like 3 or 4 years ago, 2021, 2022.
Was it that long ago? Okay. November 2022. So, yeah, 3 years and change. November 30. So, like, the end of November too. And on the one hand, it's a long time ago, 3 years ago. On the other hand, it's not a long time ago. And what I was thinking about is, like, to use an Acumatica comparison, I personally got involved with Acumatica in 2013, but it started in 2008. Now, ERP products are totally different. They take forever to get going. But what's also interesting is, I still don't know if I believe this stat, but at Summit, I heard that still less than 50%, it's like somewhere in the 40% of companies are actually running some kind of cloud ERP. And ERP is a totally different ballgame, because it's such a big beast kind of a thing. But it is still interesting how, like, it does take a while for technology to really kind of reach all the farthest corners of organizations, right? And so on the one hand, that's a long time. On the other hand, it's not a long time. And what has happened, though, in just that last few years is it started off with just an interface where you could type something and get some intelligent response, right? And I was like, whoa, amazing. And then you start to get to the point where now you realize, oh, I don't just need to ask it kind of interesting questions. I can ask it productive questions. And I think that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. Like, I want you to create an application for me that does this, this, and this. But then just in the past, I think, few months, it's now crossed into the world of what they're calling agentic AI, which is AI that can actually has arms and legs to go do something on its own, like for hours and hours and hours, and come back and let you know. And that's like a whole nother level of it, right? And so it's evolving so fast. And I myself, Summit was a bit of a turning point for me. Like, there was a few things, including our conversation, where I'm like, oh, okay, this is ready. This is not some futuristic thing. There's a lot we can do with it now. And
no, I think
that was a big shift for me.
Yeah, and the big thing too, I think, with especially ChatGPT and other AIs is, in the beginning, people didn't trust it because it hallucinated so bad. Like, you would say, like, how many N's are in strawberry, and it would give you a random number because it was just trying to kind of clean itself out. But the last couple, I agree with you, last couple of months, that hallucinations have just dropped to a point. People are trusting it more to build things. and applications. And when people say, I want AI in my business, it's a lot more feasible now.
And you feel like that's just in the past few months?
Yeah, and kind of what you're saying of the arms and legs. My role at Razor Tracking kind of oversees some of the devs, and I have one dev who will have a Claude session. So Claude is just a Chat GPT competitor from Anthropic, and he'll let it run 10 hours, and it'll produce pretty minimalistic bug application and or features. So it's coming a long ways. And I think I saw a stat of Spotify. I think 90 to 95% of the code is AI written, and then the 5% is just human fine tuning.
Interesting.
But for
We did
this
get a
talk,
comment. So we actually have a live. Alice is on live. It still does. Yeah, it definitely still hallucinates.
oh
And
yeah,
what I'm learning though is it's all about how you use it and where you use it, right? And for
Mhm.
me, there were two situations. One was a story I heard on a podcast, which was the CEO of Zapier interviewing the CEO of a company called Wave. And the Wave CEO like is now fully using it, and they're a software company. But was it interesting to me is the turning point for him was a personal situation where he was about to cook a steak. He takes a picture of it, decide he's just trying to use ChatGPT more. And I've been that way for like maybe about a month. I'm just trying to force myself to use it. And he takes a picture. He's like, "Can you tell me how to cook this steak?" And what he didn't realize was in the background, there's the steak, but behind the steak was his stove, a cast iron skillet. And so ChatGPT not only sees the steak, it sees the gas stove, it sees the cast iron skillet, and it comes back with a recipe specifically for that situation. And that caught him by surprise. And then he cooks it, and his friends are like, "This is the best steak we've ever had." And so that situation where you're able to validate that it did a good job, you know. And I
Yep.
had this experience just last weekend where we were trying to figure out my daughter's soccer club. There's like 12 teams. The city gives you like these many fields and slots for practices, and you're trying to accommodate the needs of the 12 teams. So we have like this whole list of like, this coach needs to practice at this time and can't be in two fields at once because they're coaching multiple teams. I put all that into ChatGPT, and it basically comes back and arranges the practices for me. And I can validate it. We go through and we're like, oh, this works, right? So those situations where you can validate that it's doing a good job, and that's what you're going to show us today, works especially well in coding, like you were talking about, right?
Yep. And for this is definitely not for. This is for people who are kind of, I wouldn't say tech savvy, but they're not tech ignorant. So there's a little bit of learning curve. But for me, where the BI business intelligence tool really helps is sometimes I really struggle with Power BI. And I know you're kind of a Power BI kind of
Oh,
guru. Um,
please launch away. No need to be shy. Yeah.
but like, have you? I know you probably had this situation where like a CSV or some sort of table had a column name change, and that just wrecks everything. So you have to go and, for me, if someone changed the name, I use Claude most of the time. I just tell Claude, hey, column changed on this, fix it, and it'll fix all the iterations, any formulas that I had on it. So I'm using it more as the coding tooling. I will have it try to guess some things, but like the hallucinations, you still have to be wary. Like you said, you gotta kind of double check and verify everything. It's pretty easy on a website if it's all Python or JavaScript to be like, yep, that actually adds up to be what it is, and I can verify on other toolings. So that's kind of a big thing for me. And then the other thing, I'd rather tell Chat or Claude, make me a pie graph. I don't have to click in Power BI to get all the colors I want. I just say, make me a pie graph. I want the customers and order number last month. I like green and blue. So it'll do it.
And you're still in control. I think that's the thing, right? And you mentioned like managing developers. You're not in control of what another developer does, right? Like you give a developer certain instructions and what they come back with is what they come back with. And it's the same with the AI. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, 100%. And then my other thing too is I always tell people when they're like, I kind of want to do something like this. And I always say, who knows your business better than you? Business analysts who can do Power BI, they can have a good guess, and they're pretty accurate, but you should be the one who knows your business. So if you can control what your BI tool is doing for you, I think it's only going to make you the better owner, manager, supervisor of your sector.
Totally agree. Well, I think that's a good set the stage. We got another comment here from Conrada. I think Conrada, you do go by Connie. We talked yesterday. Totally co-sign ChatGPT and how helpful it is, but it's a way of detailing and saying the right words that there are no hiccups. But the more you use it, the more it becomes familiar to you specifically. I completely second that. And I think you used the word earlier, trust. And I've got to the point where, yeah, the more you just try it out, just play with it, try it, the more it starts to build trust. You're like, oh, this is, yeah, it's something that I can rely on for this, and this, maybe not for this other thing, but it does become familiar. I agree with that.
Yep. And then with kind of the other business intelligence part that kind of came out of it is at Acumatica, they have the anomaly detection. The problem with that is you're trusting the ERP to tell you what's an anomaly in your business. Like I said, they do a great job, but with your own self-built tool, you can fine tune that and say, I want to be more sensitive to anomalies because my business has more like variability, or I can be less sensitive. But you can control that as well. The other thing too is I think one of them was you had to have a specific license, and you were like limited for how many records you could anomaly detect per day. Well, if it's your self-built and it's your own chat or Claude instance, it's your own subscription that you're going to be hammering. And if you aren't maxing out your credits, you're wasting your money on your subscription. So it's kind of a way to hit both things. And then another thing too from the Acumatica is we're in a lot of businesses cases where not all of our data lives in Acumatica. So being able to pull in multiple sources, just like a Power BI can, that's a very specific build. Well, I can build some sales guy uses the spreadsheet because we can't get him to use the CRM tool that we have. Well, we can pull that in. That's pretty trivial, and we can make sure we match everything that way. And it's very systematic that way. So I like that. And like I said, sometimes me and Power BI don't like each other very much. And then I think I made the comment.
A good word, like when it comes to Power BI.
Yeah,
clunky.
Yeah, clunky. Yeah. And I think I used the analogy. Power BI is a really good drug dealer. Like if you want to party by yourself, it's free. But as soon as you want to party with other people, it costs you, or it costs your friends to see it. Well, I'll show you how to do.
It's not the analogy. I'm still trying to get it. What do you mean, like party at scale when you need to party at scale?
Yeah, like if I said, hey, I want to show this Power BI. Well, if I need to host it on the BI site, well, that's a license. Or if I want to show you the data, I have to show you the whole Power BI files and everything.
Okay.
Or if you do have your own intelligence, you can tunnel into your computer, and I can give you a website, and we can vibe code our own tool together before we ship it off to somebody else. So I'll actually send you a link for the tunnel when we make it, so you can see the tool in action. You can interact with it just like a Power BI was, but it's the same file. You're just using a website that's on my computer.
So is the drug dealer analogy that, like, yeah, they could getting involved with a drug dealer can help you, I guess, experience some things fast, but then you're now involved with the drug dealer. Is that your point? Like,
yeah, it's like the first one. Yeah, the first one's free, so then you're hooked.
Oh, I love it. Well, I think that's a good set the stage. So we're gonna go like you're gonna show us some really cool technical stuff, but I did want to take a little time to like say why I'm interested in this, and I think I'm going to wind up doing more and more AI type episodes in the future. But yeah,
Yep.
let's launch into it. I think that's a good set the
Perfect.
stage.
So if you want to share my screen.
I see you still have us up on your screen. You got something.
Let me.
You don't
Maybe I
have the
forgot to
right
hit the button
monitor
on
up
this
there.
one. Yeah.
All right, there we go. You're
Perfect.
on.
Let's move
Looks
this
like Connie
over.
likes the drug dealer analogy.
So for this one, we're going to use OData stream.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because Acumatica has OData and it's updating pretty regularly. I'm not going to use Acumatica OData. I'm going to use an open source one because I like my job. And if I exposed our company's data, I think my bosses would probably fire me. So we're going to use what's Northwind, but the concept itself is pretty simple of just an OData connector. When you do Acumatica, you would just do your I can't remember if it's username, password, or your API key, but it's pretty simple to set up on that for you. And Claude is pretty good at saying, looks like you're trying to connect to a secured site. The other thing too, just for brevity for the audience, I'm on a MacBook, but you don't need a MacBook. You can use PC. It don't matter. I use the CLI, so command line interface for Claude. You can use the inbuilt one. You can use these ones for, this is just a web version of the chat interface, or you can use ChatGPT. So a lot of times when I do workflows, I'll pull both of these
Can I point
up.
out before you do the code part, can you flip back to the Claude desktop? So
Yeah.
I just downloaded Claude this week. I mean, that's how fast things are changing for me personally. And I think you're going to be showing us Claude Code, which is the third button on the top. But then they also have this thing called Cowork. And Claude is really aiming at like business people. And Cowork, my understanding of it so far is it's designed like for business analyst stuff, not even developers. So Claude is becoming, I think, very relevant for knowledge workers in general, not just coworkers. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and I think Cowork is only for Mac, I think, but I think they are working on the Windows.
Actually,
version.
I'm on Windows, and yeah, it's got it on there. Yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, it's changing so fast, right? Can't keep up with it.
Yeah. My boss was asking me about it, and I'm like, it works on my machine, and he's like, of course it does. And then for text editor, I have anti-gravity. You can use VS Code.
Sorry, I cut you off on the ChatGPT part. What were you saying on the ChatGPT part?
I'll use both. So when I first scope things out, what I'll do is I'll tell ChatGPT, I want to build a business intelligence tool. Don't judge me on my spelling. Tool with an OData feed. So I'll iterate on this. And okay, what do I want? I want a thin BI thing. Okay, perfect. We want to do some AI anomaly detection. So I will rubber duck. So if you're not with developers, a rubber duck is just talking to something and kind of fine tuning. And at the end of this session, I'll say, make me a prompt to start building this.
And a prompt is just what you type into that window. That's a prompt.
Yep. Right? So anything on my side is a prompt. So I'll have ChatGPT make me the prompt of the whole scenario. Then I'll go back to Claude and say, here's a prompt. Are there any flaws in this? Or should I think about something else? And it'll iterate off that. Then I'll say, make me a final prompt. And then I will close this. And then I will launch my text editor. Like I said, I'm using anti-gravity, but it's a VS Code from Google. It's forked off of it. So it's going to look exactly like VS Code. I think the anti-gravity is kind of cool. So that's why I use it. But I use VS Code as well. But I'm a bigger fan of a CLI tool. So
before you get there, so I think it's interesting the way you're using ChatGPT and Claude together. This is what I've been learning just from podcast episodes the past couple of weeks, that ChatGPT at the moment seems to be more like a deep thinker, philosophical kind of a thing. And there could even be origins because my understanding so far is it's sort of like a German engineering mindset where their models are coming out of, and so it's that like do it really really well. Whereas Claude is a little more action oriented, like let me just get this thing done. And so I think it's interesting the way you're using it fits that, because you're having ChatGPT do the real like more deep thinking on how to lay this out, and then Claude's more the like, all right, let's start coding and getting this done. Is that your thinking there?
I couldn't agree with you more on that one. I would say, and to kind of more hone in on the point, definitely general purpose one, definitely coding and tooling. So that's where I would break the two. If your audience asks, I have the plus subscription on ChatGPT, so it's the $20 a month one on this one. But since I kind of am in more of the tech space, I have the $100 one on Claude. You don't need that for majority of the like BI analysts or financial analysts or something like that. The $20 one should get you through majority of the use cases. So
yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Interesting.
And then
Alice also asked why your screenshot of Acumatic was blurred out. That's just so you're not sharing your company stuff.
Yeah, that's just the name and ID. So that's why that's blurred. But any GI will have the option to expose via OData.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's get going. So this is Claude Code, and then for this thing, come on, stay up. It's just an empty folder. It's got nothing in it because we're going to start from brand new. Let me pull up.
So this window here is sort of like a command line prompt. That's not Claude Code, right?
Yep. So this is just my window or my Mac terminal. And then if you type in Claude, that's the Claude code.
Gotcha.
So I have a little bit.
Is it talking directly to the Claude desktop application, or how is it communicating with Claude?
Claude desktop and Claude code are different. So anything I chat in here, it won't show up in my history. Here. So they are going to be separate. And there is a couple benefits of that. One, sometimes when you have a longer session with agentic AIs, the longer your session is, the more chances it'll hallucinate. So if you can keep them brief and fine tune them here rather than in Claude Code, it's going to actually help you out more. It feels like it's disconnected, but it's on purpose. I think the other thing too is Claude Code has a lot less data leakage. Obviously, it's a black box, so you don't really know exactly what it's learning off of you and what's not. Our AI, any company should have an AI policy of what you can and can't use. So DeepSeek always comes up just because it's a Chinese model, and a lot of US companies will outlaw those. Some companies are okay with that. So Claude Code has the config for like data sharing. So I think it's like up to 10 days. So you just kind of make sure you work with your own company when you're starting this thing. It's kind of like a CYA for us.
I'm going to put that on the list of things to follow up with you on. Be interesting to see how much you'd be comfortable sharing of, maybe even just like a general AI policy template that someone could use to get started or something. I'll follow up about that.
Yeah, not a problem. The nice thing too, when I'm using Claude Code, if I'm missing a package, so what we're going to do today is a React web page. If your computer doesn't have that, Claude Code will say, "Hey, do you want to download this?" And then it'll do that for you. So your technical skills doesn't need to be an advanced programmer or developer mindset. It's just does a React 19 make sense? Does Node.js make sense? Okay, yep, do it. So perfect. And then why I use React is probably a question somebody will have. Have you ever noticed that a lot of websites, especially like the newer websites, kind of have a magenta hue to it? Have you ever noticed that?
What do you mean by that? Do you have an example? It's okay if you don't.
Google it.
That's really good.
I don't, but
Okay.
how a lot of the AIs learned is through open source and scrubbing websites. Well, one of them, a lot of newer technology uses React, so it's learned really well in React, Python, like those two frameworks for programming languages. It's really good at it, and React just
Gotcha.
makes it nice on websites. So that's why we're going to use it today. You don't need to be a React developer, but I like the way React looks on a web page. Python will do it too, because you might need to debug in your terminal or your text editor. So knowing something a little bit will help you. But even if you don't know anything and it breaks, just say, "Hey, Claude, when I click this button, it breaks."
Right.
It'll
Yeah.
fix it.
Yep.
So you can kind of go that way. So
I think React was a language that came out of Facebook, correct?
I can't remember, but
I
that
think
sounds
it
right.
was. Yeah, like a ways back, but it's a language. I think TypeScript is also another one that is good at, just because there's such a big volume of stuff out there, right?
Yep.
And TypeScript's also relevant. I'll just mention in that Acumatica has moved toward that with the modern UI. So, but yeah, I agree with you that the language doesn't matter so much because the model, it just, I think the point you're making is you're going with a language that Claude knows well. It's not some obscure programming language. It's one that there's a ton of stuff on the internet. So Claude has learned, and gotten really good with how to use that language.
Yeah. So let's start going, Paige. Using I can actually cheat a little bit, so I don't have to copy paste so much. So when you use Claude Code, you'll see this pasted 1 to 4 lines. It just means that it just concatenating it, so it's less context for the user when they're typing. But as soon as I hit enter, it'll show. And then we're going to use Northwind data.
That's like Microsoft's sales, like Acumatica sales demo is Microsoft's version of that, right?
Yep. So I want to build web page, tech stack, React 19, TypeScript, Tailwind, CSS, Express, Recharts, Tan. Basically, what I did to prep for this podcast was I did it once, and I said, "Hey, Claude, build me a script that I can walk through an audience of what we should build, what words I should do to make it most efficient." Because it's fun staring at our faces in this thing going, but moving it faster, I think, is better for everybody. So, like I said, we're gonna walk through a little bit while we're running this. So, build a full tech OG forms. Got to represent. So, we're going to run our packages. Here's our initial project. Okay, running it. Perfect. You always want to review the tech plan. Even cursory, if you don't know what all it means, still review it, because you'll be surprised at how much you actually will catch and like, oh wait, that's not what I really wanted. Yep, clear context. Let's go.
Now
So it'll
Claude's
start
going
building.
off to work, and with ChatGPT, because I have a little more experience with that so far, like it usually comes back within a few seconds. When you're using Claude Code, are you typically experiencing it might go off and work for an hour, or what's your typical flow there?
You'll actually see it in real time here. It's seconds to maybe minutes. I think the longest time I've gone is probably 7 minutes,
Okay.
just because it's building all these files, it's writing them, it's verifying that I have it. So you can see there's package JSON already created. Yep, we want installed. Just make sure we get our dependencies. You still want to, you can't, for this demo, you can't really just go and then go make a pizza and then come back. You do have to have some interaction because it's executing packages on your computer. So one, there's a little bit
I just saw them show up on the left-hand side. Yeah, as they're building. Okay.
Yep. So it still wants to make sure that, okay, it's good, because you always hear the horror stories on. I use Reddit for my primary news source, but on the Claude subreddit, you'll see that, hey, I tried to use cowork or some sort of agentic tooling, and it deleted all of my files because I said optimize, and apparently deleting everything is an optimization to a sort. So
Can you snap it to the right so it's like full screen top to bottom, that window?
this
Yeah, like
one,
it's like
yeah,
left and right. This one would be on the left, the other one be on the right, but they're as tall as they can be, just so we see
yeah.
as much code as possible.
You,
I don't know if Mac does that well.
it doesn't do it as well, but
Oh, there we go. That works. Yeah, that works. Perfect.
I got this going. So you can see that, okay, it's getting all the configs. Yep, proceed. Make sure that doesn't go. You'll see some errors, but okay, that makes sense. Keep going. We can close this because I usually don't use that. I don't use that. So you can see the entities that's being built. So yeah, so we're just letting it build, see where it goes and takes us. But like I said, the biggest thing is.
Oh, Alice is saying everything's a blur. So it's not a blur on my end if I make it full screen, but maybe the resolution's not high enough. Sorry, Alice. I'm not sure I'm going to go check it on like YouTube, see if I get the same experience. You might need to like, if you have settings where you can definitely make it full screen. It's blurry if you don't make it full screen. And then see if you can make it like as high of a resolution as possible. I'm gonna go check it on YouTube.
Blur for the others.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna just make sure it's working okay on my YouTube.
Okay. And I can talk through this. So you can see that it is doing it. Checking off because Claude makes a plan. So it'll go through. It doesn't make it a plan in order. So that's why like some of these have been checked and in an odd order. And then the other thing too, which will make users kind of giggle, is when it's thinking, it adds random verbiage like actioning, bondoogling, contraptionizing, just odd things that you'll just catch.
That's interesting.
So it says,
and I did just check it on like on YouTube. It's broadcasting at 1080p, and it is somewhat blurry, but it is readable. So I think it's okay in general. Maybe Alice, since you're on LinkedIn, it might not be as high quality. Yeah, let me put the YouTube link in there.
Okay. Is there anything I can do on my end for
link? I'll put that in there for you.
Anything I can do on my end, Tim?
Nope, I think it's good. I mean, we have a lot of text that you need to show, and that's just the nature of it. I'll put this back on the screen. So it's right there, audforums.com/episode 164. The YouTube page is right there on that link.
So after I went through and did this, it told me, hey, start the server, which web page by npm. So open the terminal, and then it's starting to run. And hopefully,
when you say start the server, so does it need a web server, or is it really just a web page that's getting saved as a HTML file or something?
Both. So all of this is for a web page. So
it does need a web server running on the computer.
Yeah, kind of that the npm run, that is the web server. So I'm just saying, hey, start it. Hopefully it'll tell me to open up a local host here. Come on.
This is really interesting. I mean, I've been listening to people talk about how they're doing it, and this is my first time that I'm actually seeing someone do something with it. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and
I don't understand 90% of it, but it's still fascinating.
No, and that's why I kind of want to start it. Like, I can show you a finished, mostly done BI tool on the Northwind, but I'm like, it really doesn't show people. So my problem here wouldn't be a demo if everything went right. And
oh, of course not. Yeah, I'm not expecting perfection
so
at all.
I just say I did the npm run dev. I'm going to copy this, but it's not working to do a web page.
That reminds me, do you find yourself taking screenshots a lot? I've been doing that a lot. Like I'll just take a screenshot and be like, I don't see what you're asking me for, or I'm getting an error, and then I'm not even dealing with text. I just screenshot and send it in.
Yes and no. Cloud Code, you can't do images, so it's only text.
Okay.
But yes, for the other one, I will do screenshots and like clean this up because I can't do it, or I'll say like, hey, here's a PDF. I can't highlight and copy a table because there's just some thing over it. I'll just tell Claude or Chat, hey, give me the table in a CSV.
And for me, where I've been doing it is like when I'm in, this is Chat GPT for me, where I'm asking it to walk me through how to do something, and it's like, okay, you should have a button in the upper right that's called whatever, and then I don't have it, so I screenshot it. I'm like, I don't see it, and I'm like, oh, now I understand. It's actually because you're not on the right plan or something like that. Yeah.
Let's close it and then try to run it again.
Alice, maybe you can just confirm that you got the YouTube thing working. You can let me know there.
Then the other thing too with Claude Code is I open the terminal to run it. I can also tell Claude just to run it. Like, hey,
will you see less of what's going on in real time if you do it that way?
You
tell me more about why you use the terminal.
When it's running here, I can actually see this output. So I'm trusting that it's working.
Okay.
So if I tell it to run, I just tell them like, you got to stop it because I don't know the process. I'd have to go actually run queries inside a terminal to like kill any of those processes where I can tell Claude just to kill it, and it can do it too.
Okay. So you do it less for what's happening on the right. You do it more for what you're getting back on the left-hand side.
Correct.
And what is this left-hand side again? What was this called?
It's VS.
Okay.
Yeah, anti-gravity, but it's VS Code is what it is.
Okay. Which is like a lightweight Visual Studio. Is that a way to describe it? Uh-oh. I just lost you. What happened?
Nope, I'm back now.
Oh, okay. Would you say it's sort of like a lightweight Visual Studio? Or no?
Yeah, have you ever heard of Cursor?
Nope.
Cursor came out a couple years ago where it's a VS Code that's very focused on integrating AI into the actual IDE or text editor for coding.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if it works now.
So maybe lightweight's not a good word. It's just that it's really focused on AI developing.
Yes. Okay, so now we have a web page that's garbage because that doesn't really help us for a BI tool. Okay, now we want to that. And then I'm going to do this one as well. And I will walk through what that is on these. All right. So what I showed you was just the records came in. Okay, cool. Now what? That's Power BI could do an auto data feed pretty quickly. So now I'm saying, hey, we need to actually make a website that's got navigation to it and tables that we can use, some simplicity to it. So that's what this prompt is all doing. And then it'll think for a while. And then you can see the tokens.
On the left-hand side, are those basically tables, like categories, orders, customers, products?
Yeah, it's all from the Northwind OData. So all of those.
But they're basically tables, is that right? So there's 91 customers, 77 products, etc.
Yep. And then I think the orders are 2,100. So that all comes from the feed. So if you're doing for like an Acumatica specific, you would do an OData feed for each GI that you did to try to bring it back to an Acumatica focused tutorial.
If I get really brave, I might ask you for your notes on this and try to do it in Acumatica OData. We'll see.
Yeah, the one thing too I can do if anybody wants to reach out, I can make so what Claude also has is along with like the code and co-work and the regular chat, they have what's called skills. So it's like a reusable specific context that you're trying to do. So if we're doing BI and me and you like, hey, let's help other people, we can do a Claude skill, which would be a .md file, so it's a markdown file. And what it does is says,
Oh,
hey, when you do an OData feed, use this tech stack. I want the dashboard. I want this. I want that for the user. So when let's pick on Connie
interesting.
for a second because that name's stuck in my head. If she goes, I just want to do it, so she'll say, I want to use this OData feed. Use Tim and Phil's Claude skill.md, and all that context will get shortened down. So you would just have this running for a while. It would be a longer build, but you would have a quicker experience. And then
Yeah.
Connie can bring that and say, okay, now I got this skill. Let's bring in a CSV, XLS, or other data sources. And it has the context of the BI intelligence, so you can reuse that.
Very cool. I've thought about doing something like that for generic inquiry specifically, like having, and it is interesting. I didn't realize a Claude skill was a markdown file. And so my understanding, markdown file is basically just text that has a little bit of formatting in it. And it's basically, for some reason, it's the preferred way that an AI understands a document. It's like a
Yep.
Word document, but much simpler version of a Word document, right? And so
Yes.
it's all the instructions in there. And I've thought about having a markdown file that just really educates it on the tables in the Acumatica database and how you would build the generic inquiry, the XML file output that you need. And then people would just describe what they want, and it would create the XML file that you would import into Acumatica. This sounds like a very similar idea. This is interesting.
I think it's actually this. It's exactly the same. What your MD file is a half step away from being a Claude skill.
So interesting. And then
And
also, it doesn't even have to be a file, because what I realize is you could just host that MD file at a URL. You know, it could be ogforums.com/Phil really cool skill, and you just tell Claude, use this web page to know how to do something, and it'll just read it from there. And the advantage of that is then you could keep it up to date, you know, as you want to add more stuff to it, right?
yeah, and like I said, we'll bring it back to Acumatica. If Acumatica could give an MD file of its table schemas and how it's related to everybody, making GIs would be a lot quicker because you can say, make an XML file. Here's what my current one looks like. Use this table schema because I want all the GLs and sales history for this department or this sub account or whatever for a specific account. Then you would be able to do that, because right now you're just trying to poke and do that, find related tables in your GI if you're not exactly sure where you're running it at.
Oh, love it. Great. And really, that kind of goes back to your point earlier of why you're doing this in Claude Code. I think there's a little bit of a shift happening with Acumatica, in my opinion. It's just becoming a little more closed than it used to be. And I think that's what every ERP publisher does, the bigger they grow. And so they're building their own chat assistant. And it'll be interesting to see if they would do something like just give people a markdown file. I have a feeling you're gonna have to use their chat in order to access that. That's my guess. But there's gonna be a price associated with that, right? And so, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like build your own intelligence tool, because if you're already paying for a cloud subscription, you're doubling up. 'Cause I know Acumatica, their AI is mostly Claude. I think I did the hackathon when we were in Seattle, so I think they were telling us that it's all Anthropic based models.
Makes sense. So interesting. Yeah, and it
So
doesn't mean you don't pull Acumatica's in for this situation, that situation. But yeah, you're building your own, you're investing in your own intelligence. This is fascinating.
Yes, like I said, especially if you have very mixed data and you can't intertwangle them, well, you can intertwangle them here.
Remind me what is you're a customer. You're not like a customer.
Yep.
You're not a consultant or anything. What does your company do? What business are you in?
Yeah, so I work at Razor Tracking, and it is a GPS and dash cam for fleets. So we do like route optimizations, and we'll pull in propane tanks. The biggest one right now is just dash cams, just for the insurance aspect. We do a lot of over the road trucking, and our main sector is agriculture. So sometimes they don't need as advanced regulations, I'll call it, for over the road trucking, but they still need that insurance protection. So we do a lot of dash cams items. So my title is director of business operations, but I oversee the development and support and fulfillment of that sector. And then kind of as we go here, I was telling my boss about this podcast, and he's like, well, actually, we think we could make it a business unit, because we have a sister company that does professional services. He's like, well, we could do some AI stuff. So I'll have contact information for that business unit too, and then my personal one. So I can pull that up on the
Brilliant
screen.
idea. I've talked to a couple of Acumatica customers that have done that. Like when you really invest in an IT department that's smart, like yours is, yeah, then you don't just have to service the business. When you get bored or there's times are slow, you can go do consulting. That's smart. You spin it out as like a separate LLC, but the company controls it because they're the owner, and they're your main client. Yeah, no, that I love that model. That's awesome.
Yep. So here's my contact information. So name, Razor Tracking. So that would be GPS, dash cams, and then Razor Elite, AI.
Oh, you guys have already done it. You have a website and everything. Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, we're in the process of finalizing the website, but you at least can email me there. And then any non things, you can just reach out to me personal at phil@northsodaflint.com.
Well, I think I'll highlight your Razor Light one, because it seems like that's the direction things are going in.
Yeah, no. So this one has been running for 7 minutes, so I'm glad we could chit chat while that's running, so people can kind of see real time what to expect when they're doing it on their own.
It's so fascinating, so fascinating. And so I don't want to get too into this. I think this is a separate podcast episode, but I've been listening to a bunch of stuff, drinking from a fire hose, and I like one phrase I heard was actually, it might have even been Sam Altman who made this comment from ChatGPT, but he said AI coders, AI coding, which is what we're watching right now, has infinite dopamine, whereas a regular developer runs off of pizza. I thought that was interesting. Like it can stay up all night and then stay up all night again. We're watching it work right now, and it's fascinating.
And actually, for me doing this, if because I cut my teeth not with Python or React or anything like that, it was actually SQL querying. That was how that's how I started. So for me, I can sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna write a SQL query, and okay, done. When I'm cloud coding, it isn't coding, you're project managing, and that takes so much more effort out of me that after like a couple hours of doing this, I'm drained.
So is that because you feel like it's a higher level of thinking than if you were just sitting down and writing code?
Yes, because you're coordinating and doing all this other fun stuff.
Oh, that's fascinating comment. Okay, there's definitely another podcast episode coming, just talking about this from a business level. It's fascinating.
So now we have a dashboard of customer data is slowly coming through, but it's not working I'm going to say, run it for me, but also use try Cloudflare for free to tunnel so I can show my friends.
So I've heard about Cloudflare in the past week. Tell me what that is. I don't understand it.
Most of the time people hear Cloud.
Oh, lost you for a second.
Is a security
so
firewall.
Start over. So it cut out. Most of the time people hear Cloudflare and then it cut out. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, when there's problems with it, because a Cloudflare outage will stop people from like logging in because they have like secure gateways for that. And you just kind of see that.
What is it?
It's more so it's a light version of like Azure or AWS, a cloud hosting service. But since they have so much
structure, it's not like networking. I thought it was just networking. Okay.
Most people use it as networking and security tools. So that's where its primary is, but it does have a little bit of cloud stuffs
so
going.
What are you using it for right now?
So the tunnel basically says treat my computer as a server, and then it'll give me a website that I'll post for you, and you can actually see the web page.
And it's hosted on your computer.
On my computer. So if me and you were like, hey, we're working on this BI tool.
Oh,
you
cool.
can't.
And
me
so
and you can't.
Cloudflare is sort of like your firewall that's gonna protect your computer from getting hacked.
Yep, and the try Cloudflare tunnel, it will only be active while the service is running. So as soon as
that is fascinating. It's cut out again.
I lost you.
All right, you're back. So it'll only be running while you have the session up, while you have this window up. So while we're live here, Connie and Alice will be able to hit that same URL and try it out as well.
Yep. And then that way, because like me and you can't work on the same Power BI at the same time. Like that's not a thing. But me and you can vibe code together and say, hey, I like this, I don't like this. We'll just chat at the same time to Claude and be like, okay, we want to update this. It's way better for working sessions. And then once you have a proof of concept, then you can say, okay, developer, actually put this in my website. Do this in a secure way so it's not just a tunnel.
This is I was not expecting this. Actually, I didn't come into this with a lot of expectation, but I did have I was just looking to, but that really is interesting to me. Wow. I had not thought about the group part of working on something. This is fascinating.
Yeah, because an individual gets such tunnel vision of like what we want to see, but then you'll approach a different thing. So okay, let's see if this website works.
So cool.
Okay, it's getting blocked right now, so it's still building. It's restarting the back end.
All right, and it's a random. I want to get your thoughts on something, but when you feel like it's about to do something that's going to take a little bit, so I'm gonna pause it. But yeah, when you're like, okay, we need to kill some time, I have a thought I want to throw at you.
Yeah, you can do it now because I have such ADD, so it works.
Okay. So I've been experimenting a little bit with an OG Forums Discord server.
Okay.
And for those who don't know what a Discord server is, it's very similar to Slack or Teams, but it was started by like video gamers. That's most of the people who used it, although it's become also a popular community place for professional organizations as well. And I think the reason is Slack will actually, every user has to pay for Slack, whereas Discord, like you can just pay for a server and everyone can use it for free. Anyways, it's basically a community, and I look at it like a more modern version of an online forum like I have at ogforums.com. And one of the features it has is a voice chat feature, which is anyone can jump into the voice chat at any time, and whoever's in there can talk to each other. And where I'm going with this is I've been experimenting with wanting to try that out a little more, because it's more of like it's just on in the background. Like I can have it on my phone while I'm still working on something. I don't feel like I'm quote in a meeting. I feel more just like I have a friend that's sitting by, helping to pass the time when I'm working on something, right? And where I'm going with this whole thing is this seems like a cool way to have like just a Discord voice chat where I don't feel like I'm in a meeting. There's no screen sharing, but then whatever's being worked on, and there's a lot of dead time like we're experiencing here. But then you're like, oh, hey, you can check it now. And then I just go check the URL on my computer. And now we're just communicating via voice. We don't even need screen sharing. What do you think about all that?
I use Discord a couple of places. I like a lot of it. The problem I have with Discord is the ones I'm in is like a very large one. So then if you're not familiar with Discord, your chats kind of go like that. And so when you're trying to have a conversation, it's really hard just to pull these thread out to try to see. But if you kind of hone it in and get the right channels, it is very beneficial to just hyper focus and get people's thoughts on items in a very quick manner. Because one, like you said, Slack costs money, Discord's free. And when you host it, you can keep that more private, kind of like your OG forms. You can have a login, so you like only invite specific people, so you can keep that AI bots and other noise you'll see in Reddit and X and Facebook down to a minimum. So
you can keep the bots out. Yeah. What
yeah,
about the voice chat specifically? That's one feature I want to play with more. Have you tried that much?
See, I haven't played with the voice chat at all, so I actually am curious of how that would work.
Maybe we'll try that out together. I want to tinker with it. There's a bunch of reasons why. We don't have to go into it, but yeah, there's some technical reasons.
I dropped a link in our chat. I couldn't put it in the commenting one, but it is.
Oh yeah, let me pass it into the comments. Let's see. So if anyone's, I think most of the audience who winds up watching this will be watching the recording, and this will not work in the recording, right?
Yeah, so that's I have no problem just doing it. And the other thing too with Cloudflare, if anybody's doing it, anytime you restart a session, you might get a new URL. So unless you own a domain, just be unaware that the URL will update every time you run it. So that's doing, but I think
it's only for those who are in the conversation at the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's the URL. I put it in. I guess it only commented on YouTube. Oh, how do I drop it on? I'll try to go drop it on the LinkedIn one. But Alice and Connie, you can use the URL that's on the screen there to try out what should we call it? Phil and Phil's agent, or do you have a name for your agent?
No, well, it's Claude, man. It's more Claude.
Phil and Claude. What Phil and Claude just built here.
Yeah, since we're coming up on an hour, I'm actually going to switch over to my other one.
Yeah, so quick time check. How are you on time? I'm totally happy to do like a part 2. Also totally happy to go over whatever you're thinking.
Yeah, the demo one I have is just more the anomaly part, just because we probably chit chat on that for quite a while. Answer any people's questions on that. Because like I said, what the website has, it's still missing some functionality, still some debugging. Like some of the tables aren't loading when I click on customers, and some of that
pull it
debugging.
Up on your screen, like in another window, so we can look at it together.
Yep.
But yeah, Alice, Connie, anyone else, you can hit that URL that's up on the screen and try it out.
Okay, so
yeah, let's play with it together.
Yeah, I just had Claude. I told him that the tables aren't working, so this dashboard.
I think it's so interesting that you just said him instead of it. Oh, that gives me the willies. I'm not willing to do that. But that's so interesting.
Well, I think if it had a girl's name like Stacy, I'd call it a her. So
yeah, but I mean something other than it, not the gender specifically, but non-it. That's what gives me the creeps.
And for this one, I'm going to say the dashboard is boring. Make more graphs and charts.
Yeah, so flip back. What do we have so far? I haven't even looked at it. Let's look at it on your screen.
Hopefully. So the other thing, the part I have going, it's called Vite. So I don't need to refresh this web page as it's updating. So I told Claude that the dashboard's boring. So we'll see it probably error out. And
What do you have on the left side? Like if you click through, you have some interactivity, right?
yep. So this is all
Okay.
just all the things.
So that's the raw data, and then I see. Then the dashboard is supposed to be the pretty part, but it's too boring at the moment. Okay,
it's
gotcha.
too boring. So we can make that cleaner.
Still, this is crazy that we just got a dashboard in less than an hour. This is nuts. This is
Yeah.
so
And like I said,
interesting.
and it's very, like, I would say majority of it is not typing. It's just letting it churn for a while. So it's just been me and
Right,
you talking. So
right.
hopefully if you're vibe coding with a coworker, you get along with them so you have something else to talk about.
And that's where I go with the whole Discord idea. Like, that's why I want to experiment with that with you, because it's more in the background. It doesn't feel like you're in a meeting. Yeah, it's so interesting.
So if anybody's on it, it updated.
Whoa!
So now I can see
Wow!
customers on that. But the thing is that, okay,
This is crazy.
because Power BI, like, you could make those charts, but it would take me a long time to make this one and this one and this one and this one and this
Yeah.
one to get everything. But the other one is like,
Do you get any ability before you change it again? Are you able to click on like a bar and have it filter like Power BI does? I'm guessing no, but I'm just curious.
do you want it to filter?
Well, yeah. Well, first, it looks like you have a hover. So yeah, this is
Yep.
not just like a boring page. And this maybe has to
Yeah.
do with React, but it's you're
Hey,
getting the little pop-ups. But yeah, I want to.
let's
Can we
buy
have it so
you
that
you
the
you
purple bar clicking on it will filter the data on the left-hand side? This is crazy.
also sort. So I want to filter data when I click on a graph. Example, if I click on France, all the France items should show in the other graphs, and the tables also sort. You don't need
And
to be
there's
technical when you ask
it says
this.
shimmying right now that you were mentioning earlier. It'll pick up
Yep,
random words.
just random verbs.
Oh, this is hilarious. It's doing a Steph Curry. It's shimmying.
I can't shimmy as well as he can.
I don't know. This is Steph Curry level stuff in the sense that no one else has done this before. This is groundbreaking, you know.
And and then
You're not
for
shooting deep threes here. You're like doing
no,
you're shooting from another stadium. This is crazy.
yep. So you can see that it aired out because it's working. The other thing too, what I added for my Acumatica BI tool is, since it's OData and since we are actively using Acumatica for our ERP, I say refresh every 30 minutes or when I click the refresh button. So it automatically will do that.
And that's a server side thing, so it works for every user or just for you?
No, it would be on the web page itself. So I have a button that says last refresh and then a refresh now and then the next refresh time.
But
So
where I'm going with that is like the automatic 30-minute thing that happens for anyone who uses the web page, or do you have to have some kind of browser plugin?
no, it's anybody who uses the web page because it's all server
Interesting.
side data pull. So how this is working is the OData feed is pulling in on the back end and displaying on the front end. So I'm just saying, hey, refresh every 30 minutes on the back end. The front end will
Interesting.
get updated while you do that.
So this would work really well if you put it up on a screen in the office somewhere. It would automatically refresh.
Yep. So that's what I did. I did some AP bills so people could see what's coming in. Mostly for my CFO and the accounts payable and receivable people. So I'm still working on it. Oh, see, now there's all my German revenue.
That's nuts.
Here's my
Oh,
France.
and it's doing it on all the charts, not just one. Oh my
No,
goodness.
it'll do all of them. I think it's just doing it off of this one, the company by customer. And I think, yeah, we have a filter by Mexico on all these tabs.
I'm blown away. Wow.
So we'll let that finish doing, because what I wanted to also do is do AI anomaly detection, because that's actually where most of this came from is, hey, we have AI anomaly detection. I'm like, oh, I never thought about using this as a predictive tool or a detector because I'm used to the
Well,
BIs. It just
one
does.
sec. Before you go there, quick time check. Like, how much more time do you realistically have today on this?
I'd made sure I didn't have anything this afternoon just in case because I know you said an hour and a half, but I don't know how long. The
But
most
we
of
could go
my
like another half an hour on this. You'd be okay
yeah
going
yeah.
over. Oh,
That's
okay,
as long as
awesome.
you
All right.
have time.
So before we transition to that, all right. So I think this is nuts. In 45 minutes, you built an interactive dashboard, and I think we leave the dashboard part at that, right? I think
Yep,
you took
we're
us
good
to the
on the
destination
dashboard.
on this part, right? Okay, all right. But I have a couple questions on it. So one is, are you using something like this in your actual business today?
Yes,
Crazy. Wow. Okay. Yeah, and I know you can't
because
show that, but this is crazy. So you just stood up a prototype in 45 minutes, but now you've been actually iterating over that, and that is your production BI solution at your company.
yeah, because I will host a similar
Wow.
thing like this because another thing too with Acumatica that I haven't figured out is like predictive cash flow, predictive revenue, predictive
Yeah. So now we're
expenses.
talking about the anomaly stuff, right? We're transitioning to
Yeah,
that.
the anomaly
Yeah.
that stuff.
Well,
So
hold on. I'm still holding you back before
oh,
you go there.
okay.
I want a hard break here. One sec. I still want to digest what you just
Yeah.
did. Hold on. Give me a second. There's something else I want to pull up. Yeah, give me a second here. I want to pull up your website. So this. So first, I'm going to put up on the screen I'm picking your Razor Light email address.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's put that on the screen. So I just checked, and it looks like that's a bad version of it. It looks like the website's not quite there yet, but you guys are working on that.
Yep.
I'm not happy with this yet. One sec.
By the time you post this on YouTube, it should be stood up.
Okay. Well, it's on YouTube. Like the recording's available as soon as we end the broadcast. So you got.
Give me a week.
Yeah. But so razorelite.ai. If someone looks at this and they're like, "Whoa, I would love to build, have this built for my company and iterate," that sounds like you guys
Yep.
are headed in that direction.
Yep. So we have
Okay.
a couple other things like help with automations using tools like N8N. So the letter N, the number 8, and
Yeah.
the letter
Yeah.
N.
You got other stuff in the portfolio too, but what
Yep.
you just showed us, still, I'm digesting that one. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you're going to do more. So you're becoming like an AI consulting company whose main client is the company that you work for.
Yeah, right now it is because the other thing too, people just say I want AI in my business, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, this is a very simple version of what you can put in. So this,
Yep.
and right here, I wouldn't say this is any different than a Power BI. What you're
Yeah, I
seeing,
agree.
filtering, everything. It just took me a lot less time to do this than actually fiddle with Power BI.
The devil's in the
And
details, I'm sure. I'm sure you're going to hit
yes,
roadblocks when you're in the real world. But the other thing, there's no licensing costs on this, right? All this
no,
is, you have the Claude subscription, but if someone
yep.
hires you to do that, you're using your own Claude subscription. So
Mhm.
really, it's like a pure consulting model where there's no software costs at all.
Yes, because what we're seeing a lot in, well, you see this, I saw in the stock market like 2 weeks ago. If it's a lightweight SaaS model, like, and for me with Razor tracking, we're protected because we have a large hardware component like dash cams, GPS devices, tank monitors. That's not super easy to just put in. But 5 years ago, people would always like, oh, I built a to-do app myself. I built a task manager myself. Sally in South Dakota, because she wants to do it herself and she doesn't want to pay Trello prices or whatever. I'm not picking on Trello itself, but she could make that herself and put it on her computer. So any lightweight SaaS things is really easy to reproduce. You'll still have like problems with business specific or product specific. So this can't do all the things Power BI can do, but can it
Mhm.
do majority what people are using it for? Probably. I'm not going to
Mhm.
say it won't. But just the speed of iteration. And I think, was it Altman or the Anthropic CEO? Um, it's not allowing users to replace current things with AI. It's more of a failing fast because progress is hard and AI is easy, but making a thing that actually works for you, that's where that, like you said, the devil's in the
Yeah.
detail on that. So honing in on your business specific use case, if you're like a GPS dash cam like myself, it's going to look a lot different if you're a food vendor and you're only shipping out to restaurants. So, but we can use the same bones to help focus on your business uses.
So, oh, totally. The word I would use for that is prototyping. That
Yeah, it's
prototyping process of
prototyping.
whenever someone comes to you and they're like, I know I need a dashboard, they never know what they need, like myself included, right? It's always a process, a back and forth process. And so this company that you guys have spun up is a consultative company to do exactly that. You can stand up those prototypes, work them out. It still might be that the end result lands in something like a Power BI for data governance reasons, security reasons,
Yeah,
all that. But you're able to now hand off a blueprint to, whoever's going to build that part, right?
correct.
Ah, love it. Wow. Wow. So Alice looks like Alice pretty technical. Very cool. Phil, any part of these codes, excluding your company info, you can share. I want to try to play with these myself, or some sample code project that you recommend. Yeah, we'll figure out something to add into the related link. So that will land on the episode page at augforums.com/episode 164. Yeah, Phil, I've already got some notes to ask you about of what we could put up on there. But
Yeah,
that's where that'll all land in the links.
and for Alice's question, all this is open source. So what I would do if people really wanted this specific web servers is I would just do a git ignore and pull out like my settings, but everything else is not my company specific at all. So that's fair game. And like I said, or you can just go through and you can go through this episode a couple of times and you can prompt exactly how I'm prompting and
You
build
did
it
it in the
yourself.
beginning
So
there, right? Are you able to scroll up to the very start where you were telling it what the tech stack was that you wanted it to use?
yep.
That's what you're
So
talking about, right?
yep. So all this front end, tailwind. I think if you started
Yeah.
off with this part, everything else will fall into place. Say and just tell,
Yeah.
and you can be specific. I want a dashboard. I want this, and it might ask you some clarifying questions because Claude's really good at saying, making a plan. What do you mean by dashboard? Is it charts, graphs, figures? For me, Claude Code already knows kind of my dashboard specifics. But other problems, it'll say like AI detection. If you see me, I put Z-score. If I didn't do Z-score, it might say, what kind of AI analytics are you looking for? So it'll make action plans if it's too ambiguous for it to figure out what you want.
And there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and that's why it's that consulting offering is really interesting. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to pause and make sure I was really highlighting that you've gone in this direction of spinning up a separate company where you can assist other companies with doing this kind of thing. Now I'll let you go into the I'll finally let you go into the anomaly detection or
Yeah.
whatever other stuff you want to talk about. But just the fact that you can consult with companies on spinning up dashboard prototypes, I wanted to
Mhm.
really marinate on that before we move forward. This is awesome.
Yep. And so this, I'm not going to say it came from spite from Acumatica, but when people give me restrictions, I'm going to say, well, can I remove those restrictions myself? So this is me removing the restrictions myself. So all
Yeah.
I said was AI detection. If you really dive into the weeds of, actually got
So
a
we're now on
screenshot.
anomaly detection. Is that what this tab is?
Yeah. So
Okay.
here's a screenshot of what I would call anomaly detection or AI learning. So statistical is the Z-score. So that's what I did because one, it's easy and pretty simple to implement. The further down you go on your learning, that's where the complexity kind of goes up. So deep learning, that's the other side of the spectrum. That's what LLMs, large language models, so your Claude, your Chat GPT, that's all deep learning. You can also use your deep learning on your own thing. So I have a little, call it a farm, but I have pigs and chickens and bees. So I will help with some like bee detection to say, okay, here's a bunch of pictures of bees. This is what a queen looks like. This is what a drone looks like. This is what a worker nurse bee looks like. Here's what larva looks like. Here's what cap brood looks like. And all of this other stuff. I mean, to go into a bee tangent. But we
And I
can
forget if we covered
do,
this already, but you're in Fargo, North Dakota. So okay, this is
yes.
cool. All right. I
So you
love it.
can go into deep learning and saying, here's all the picture analysis. I'm going to train you, the AI, indefinite you, but you, of what a queen cell looks like. So when I'm going through and I have my camera, I can take pictures and then just put it into the file and have the deep learning model look at it and say, yep, you have this many drones, you have this many things on all the pictures. That takes a lot of time. You can use what I like to use is for on Python is like Facebook Profit. It's just a module that it does really, really good with time series. So if you're trying to do predictive, like especially cyclical things, so like agriculture, you'll have a really big spike in the spring and a really big spike in the fall. So predicting those spikes and trends does help, but it does take a lot of data to do that. And then there's other ones. So that's I just brought this up just so you there
So
isn't
these are
just
sort of your anomaly detection categories. The 7 that you came up with. Like, did you get
oh
this out of
yeah,
an AI?
I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this podcast. I need to talk about AI anomaly detection. Give me a chart that very simple to show. So just did a quick comparison.
Interesting.
So let's see how my anomaly detection came.
And
So
the
here's
one that I've been trying to understand this better myself, because everyone says AI right now, right? And especially in ERP systems, I think most of what people are really talking about is just old-fashioned machine learning. Personally, the whole generative
yeah,
AI, I think, is still hunting for use cases in ERP systems. I think it's going
yeah.
to come down to images a lot myself, but yeah, you can. A lot of what people are saying as AI is not like some new thing, and I'd be really fascinated to see that graph that you just had up to get some idea of like what percentage of each one of those are actually being used in
Oh,
companies in the real world, rather than just being talked about theoretically.
yeah. I think right now, like you said, the theoretically talked about is just LLM. Like, hey, Claude, what's my next order I need to fulfill? Okay, well, that can do it. But you do rely on it not hallucinating, whereas you use
Hmm.
more
Yeah.
um, structurally firm and sound products, it will be a lot more trustworthy, I'll say. And I'm not saying the AI Genic won't get better because it'll only get better. It
But
just
it isn't
where the
also that
price.
I don't need the AI for that task, right? It's like hiring
Yeah.
someone with 5 PhDs to like sweep the floor. Like I don't need that. I can do another way of tacking it, like with whatever you call Z-score or some other way without using the big AI brain. Because even though the AI is basically being and this is where the whole stock market crash probably will happen, like the cost of using the AI, what we're paying for it, that $20 a month or $100 a month, is way cheaper than it's actually costing these places to run it. And eventually that's going to get corrected, right? And so if
Hmm.
you're like, back to the drug dealer analogy, if you're like totally hooked on the drug too much, now all of a sudden you're getting charged $2,000 a month when the market corrects it. You don't want to be in that situation, right? And so you want to be using not the LLM stuff in situations where you don't need the LLM. Do you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more because what you're seeing now is, like you said, the subscriptions for all the Plus Max subscriptions are heavily subsidized by the API usage. So when I'll say enterprise level products use AI, they're using the API, and that is expensive. I also think you'll see a lot of open source and or not the highest model being used
Agreed.
and not the
Yeah.
lowest, but you'll find a middle ground that, okay, it checks all the things and it's only a penny per million tokens or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
think that's the correction we'll see is models that aren't the greatest, but they work for an MVP. So that's all I need to
Totally agree.
get through. And then I can fine
Yeah.
tune it from there.
I totally agree. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, so here's all the.
All right. So you said Z-score. So with that overview of your different categories, this is using one of those categories in your approach. Is that correct?
Yeah, just the simplest one to
Okay.
kick out in a few minutes um, to get showed. So took 2 minutes to build the stock depletion forecast, anomaly detection on the scatter plot, the freight anomaly table, product price anomalies, quantity. I don't need to read all of those, but that's kind of where you need. So what I would do from there is, okay, maybe my sensitivity isn't high because, like, okay, this some and I like I said, I don't know this data as well because it's all open source, but is this good? Is this bad? What do I do for it? So I'm like, okay, make sure I didn't type in anything. I need to be able to dismiss
Yeah.
anomalies
Yeah. Once
as
you
I
investigate it,
resolve
yeah.
and investigate. Would like to add comments and possibly adjust sensitivity of the anomaly in case I need to fine tune.
And as that's running, the anomaly detection side, you're also using that in the business as well, production level?
Yeah, more so for the forecasting wise. So since we are pretty cyclical with egg, making sure we have inventories when we have those spikes so we can better predict them. Salespeople are good at it, but previous data adds just another layer of input that we can use to judge.
Right. So
So
a
that way,
human's
like,
still making the
okay,
decision, but they're better informed.
yeah, it's like, okay, the model shows that we always have a 10% increase from in May every year compared to April. And then
Mm-hmm.
sales guys or girls will be like, okay, we're having these kind of order volumes. We're going to be 15%. Well, that's not bad and or not good. But if we also have a 0% or a 20%, okay, now we need to just look and fine tune our model because it's always going to be a moving target you're trying to hit with predictive because you're never going to know if you're right
Mm-hmm.
until you find that out. And then you're always trying to predict for tomorrow.
So essentially you're using it for inventory replenishment, at least as a factor in your stocking levels in the warehouse.
Yep.
Wow. And actual production level. Wow, that's crazy. And so this idea of being able to dismiss anomalies, is that also something you're using production level where you can go through, investigate, and remove stuff out?
No, not right now because it was getting fleshed out on my other projects. So that one I'm trying to get to make sure we save it. So when I do pull the data again, it ignores it and uses it for the next anomaly. Because sometimes you'll
Yeah.
get the false positives. The
Yeah.
other one or two I'm trying to account for is the false negatives on anomalies. Because if it doesn't catch it and you're like, wow, this customer stopped ordering 2 months ago. How come we didn't catch it? Well, maybe it was an inconsistent one, but he always ordered in the springtime and just missed it this month. So
Mm-hmm.
now we can do some business pushing on those and say, hey, catch these when you don't have an order in 2 months or 3 months. So you can kind of fine tune your marketing strategy that way. So we haven't implemented that, but that's something I'm working on in my other projects when I'm not busy.
Oh, this is fascinating. This is so fascinating.
So anomaly with rows. Go back here. Where did you put it? Oh, here's my detection threshold, so we can adjust that.
Wow. This is
So
crazy.
we'll get a lot more false positives this way when we're, or
Mhm.
stricter is fewer anomalies. So we want a lot of false positives. So you see now we went from 34. Reset all stats settings. But I'm not seeing where I can dismiss anything. So we'll just, this is the debugging. I'm not seeing where I can dismiss and comment.
Watching you
Anomalies.
type, one thing I've been doing just in the past month and a half, I wasn't happy. I tried a few months ago using the Windows dictation feature. It's Windows H on your keyboard. Have you tried that
Hmm.
on Windows 11? Oh, you're on a MacBook, so it
I
wouldn't
don't know,
matter.
Max.
Okay.
I've heard good things with Whisper.
That's exactly what I switched to. So I didn't have a good experience with the Windows H thing. It was just too many times I pressed it and it didn't do it. Like a simple thing. But I've been using Whisper the past month and I am hardly typing anymore. I love it. I highly recommend it. You mind pulling this up? Do a little advertising for me. Pull up in your browser augforums.com/WISPR. If you use that link, you'll get a month free and you'll give me a month free. So that's my pitch. You're able to pull that up in a browser? Yeah. Pull up augforums.com. I'll also put it on the screen /WISPR. No E, no whisper. Yeah, WSPR. Let me make sure. I thought I had it up. Oh, maybe I haven't created the page. Yeah, WSPR. Yeah. One sec. Yeah, it should be there. Let me look at your screen again. AUG forums with an S.
Yep. Caught it same time I did.
Yeah, right there. So if you use that link, you'll get a month free and you'll also give me a month free. So we both benefit. But I highly recommend trying it out. What I will say is this podcast specifically, I think, has been what has helped me to get more comfortable thinking while talking. But it's taking me years to get used to that. Like I'm thinking by typing normally, and it's taken me years to get used to like being able to dictate what my thoughts. So that's the big hurdle I think you have to get over. But it's just in the past month. If you once you learn that part in your brain, which takes a while, then a tool like Whisper, like it's just accurate. Like all I do is I hit Control Alt on my keyboard and I talk, and then I let go of it when I'm done. And it's just been doing a really good job. Then like spelling corrections, things like that, it learns me, and I'm loving it. I'm hardly typing anymore. It's crazy. And I just listened to. Oh, I'm gonna drop this on the episode page. I just listened to this 3-hour podcast with the guy who created OpenClaw. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
It just got acquired by OpenAI like over the weekend. That's how fast this stuff is moving. And what's interesting is he coded the entire thing with the method that you're using. He's not writing the code, he's having the agent do it. And he also is dictating the entire thing. He doesn't type anymore. So back to that Whisper plug. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
But yeah, so now we have able to resolve, investigate, dismiss all of our anomalies. And then I think the last thing I'll do is do another tab for business intelligence advice. What customers should I talk to? What products I should discontinue or have more of?
So now we're kind of going the direction of, and I did put the Whisper link on the screen, by the way. Now you're going, so we started with like a BI dashboard. You then did anomaly detection. And now you're kind of going back to the BI part and being like, give me some business advice based off of the data that you pulled together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Love it.
Okay, so investigate caramelizing this one.
Caramelizing. Cogitated. It cogitated for 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
It's odd, but I like it.
I do too. It keeps it fun. And I think that's why people are using the word vibe coding, because it's sort of this energy fun thing. Actually, in that OpenClaw interview, the guy prefers the term, what did he call it? Agent engineering. So when you really think, and I want to actually close with this thought when we're ready to wrap it up, just about what it does to yourself and how you were talking about takes a lot of energy. Like, it's one thing to vibe code and just throw together a little demo. I would assume it's a whole nother thing to do this at a production level. And that's where it sucks a lot of energy out of you. And I think that's why Peter is his name, Berger, something like that. He prefers the term agent engineering because it really is a heavy duty skill that's pulling a lot on your brain. The vibe coding part, though, just kind of this fun thing that we're doing. But what would you say is it's totally different level to actually do it for your company and know people are going to rely on it?
Oh yeah, because for me, I think one, vibe coding had and probably still has a kind of a negative connotation to it. But the other thing too is what we're doing here is that failing or prototyping fast, because it's fun, but then when you start actually like implementing it, that's when you really need to like take your time, get it in your system, have SOPs in place. Like that's where for like the PM part of vibe coding, that's where it really pays off to make sure you are intricate and methodical on your processes. Or this is okay for the dashboard and anomalies. I can drink my energy drink and water and go to town, but then when I have to start like hosting it and actually training people on it, then you really want to make sure you stay focused on it.
Yeah, it's a real job. Yes.
Okay, so here's our business insights. So revenue is 16, but order frequency dropped by 50% recently, at risk of churning. So we probably should get some sales people on 7 Seas imports, similar to Wardican. So I think that's where probably I'll stop on this, just because that's as far as kind of for this open source Northwind thing it'll take you, because I'm not ever going to open this website probably again because it's meaningless. But I will take some of this thought process and bring it into our own data set, Acumatica ERP, our own system, other sales software, and just kind of fine tune a nice dashboard that's actually 1, easy, 2, hostable, and 3, actionable.
So that's it for demo part, and close it up with some thoughts.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So Phil, I'm blown away. I was super interested in this episode going into it. Didn't have a ton of like bullet point expectations, but I am totally blown away by all that you did. And we just did this in a little over an hour, or you did this, or Claude did this. So
yeah, like I said before we started, I didn't want to spoil anything just in case.
Yeah, I had no idea going into this, and you even gave me a working URL that I can play with until at least you end the session. But
yep,
all this is just actually I'm just clicking through it on my own. Yep, works. The filtering. Oh, this is
and all that is just running on my laptop right here. So
fascinating. So I want to go back to 2 points. I want to go back to. One is since you're actually doing this production level in your organization, one thing I've noticed with AI is it's great at the first pass. And so it demos really well, like we just did in an hour. I've run into a lot of struggles when I'm like, okay, now that I'm way into it and I now want it to change this thing, I found that it has a hard time doing that. Have you, like, the longer the session runs, I think you made this point earlier, the more it hallucinates or the more it just doesn't even hear you. What's your experience been like since you've taken this to production level? How do you mitigate that?
Yeah, so kind of probably 2 points. One is you have to, regardless of your skill set, you have to put your developer hat on and do commits. So that's just a fancy way of saying save all your changes. And if I make a mistake, and I is quotations, and it does just bomb the whole thing, you have a backstop to go to. So you
Mm,
always want to make sure, like, okay, if I was doing this production wise, I would have probably done 3 commits on it, especially after I got the dashboard done. I would have committed that. Once I got the anomaly detection, I would have committed that. And the BI insights, I would have committed that. That way, if the anomaly detection broke everything, I have a backstop to go to. I can close my Claude session, open up a new one, or Codex, which is the OpenAI version of it, and it can read all the files and say, okay, now I want you to do AI, and I'll probably grab the prompt and fine tune it with the web version or desktop version of Claude or ChatGPT to try to mitigate what broke. So that's the first thing. Just basically save
when
your
you
work.
say commit, you mean commit to GitHub specifically?
Yeah, you can actually just
Okay.
do it locally. You don't need a GitHub or a Bitbucket or GitLab. You don't need that. If
Okay.
you just tell Claude, save this work, do a Git commit, it'll just do a Git locally on your computer. So that
Got
way
it.
it gives you a backstop. If me and you were going back and forth, then we would want that cloud GitHub infrastructure so we could share it
Got
a
it.
lot better.
Okay. Okay.
And then the other part is
So then if I hear this right, what you're saying, one, you have a place to roll back to.
yep.
But two, what I think I'm hearing here is you're sort of resetting the AI. So in a sense, even though it has infinite amount of dopamine, it does start to get tired and burned out. And the way that you get it to sleep and recharge is you sort of fire up a new session and you're sort of like, okay, here's something that's already built. I want you to look at this with a fresh pair of eyes. Is that a technique that you use?
Yeah, because if you hit a bug and then you're just kind of getting the cycle of like, hey, it broke this tab, and then it fixes it but breaks another one, you might get into the cycle. It just constantly breaks back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. So if you just close it, you roll back to wherever you had the bug, or even if you didn't, open up a new session and say, hey, I want to do this. There's a bug in the code here. And it'll do the whole thing of saying, let me read your file structure so I understand the project template. The other thing I would suggest, if you do have a complex BI tool, since that's what we demoed, when I started this, I opened Claude Code in that directory. If I had multiple things in it, so like say I had a web page for sales and a web page for inventory, I would hone in and only open up the inventory folder
Makes
and
sense.
open
Yeah.
Claude there, so it didn't affect anything in the sales folders. And I mean the folders as in the web
Contain your
page.
explosion in a sense.
Yeah,
When
because
it
if you just
blows up.
open Cloud Code in your home directory, that's too much context, and you're gonna have problems. So it's just
Yeah.
more of your agentic hygiene needs to be good. So saving often, getting new context windows, restarting, finding a new prompt that works, reiterating, and then just that iteration process will save you in the long run.
Then I had one other thought, but any other thoughts you have on that, like best practices there?
I don't think so. Most of the practice, and use the forums that you can, Reddit, X, Discord. Those will also benefit because a lot of people have made mistakes that you can learn off of.
Love it. Yeah, and that could land in the related links as well. Maybe some specific forum recommendations on the screen, ogforums.com/episode 164. And I think I want to wrap it up with this thought earlier from Alice. I just need to find it. So Alice's comment from earlier sounds like in this case, AI really causes you to do more work doing the opposite. My take on this is actually that's not the case. But one thing I'm picking up on for me personally, just in the past week, and you're way ahead of me, is now like just since Summit that I'm really putting my shoulder into this AI stuff. what I've found is like it's kept me up really late a couple of nights this week because it's super interesting. But what I have found, and that's why your comment earlier about it taking more energy from a project level, what I'm starting to find, I should say, is this really does need your fresh brain. And it's not something that you just go off on and just party, 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 have fun, interesting, interesting. It really is something you got to sit down with fresh and in a sense go slow. Like I know I'm talking way too fast here. I need to consciously slow myself down because you can go down like dead end alleys so fast with this AI stuff. And it's even, I think what it's showing to me is the human cognitive stuff becomes even more important for you to slow down and really think about what's going on. Is that what you were kind of referring to earlier when you were talking about how the drain on you personally that you're experiencing?
Yeah, because I think when I was like first starting more programming with SQL, it was a very short-sighted problem that I was trying to solve. Now, when I look at it, you have to look 15 steps. You almost have to like be the project manager who's like, what's your goal? And then figure out what steps you need to do to get there. Because I think a lot of times for me, what I would do is I'd step one, okay, and then what's step two? Okay, step two. And then I find what's step three. And now I have to go, what's my end goal? And then work backwards. It's the very project management. It's what they call backdating or whatever they call it, but it's that kind of process. So I won't disagree with Alice on it's doing more work, but you have to be more methodical in what your end goal is. And that's why at the beginning, how I was talking about I'm
Otherwise,
using
you could wind up doing more work.
you
So
could
there
do
is the
more work
danger.
because
Yes.
you're going down a rabbit hole and you're like, oh, there's 14 different ways. But that's why I really hone in. If you get your prompt and you rubber duck really well in the beginning before you do any work, use chat, use Claude, use them against each other. And there's a term you can use that really helps. It's called Steelman. It's the Steelman debate where like, where's the flaws in the argument and what can I do to protect it? So if you code or you do the rubber duck and you get all of this and you take chat GPT and you make me a prompt, put it to Claude and say, hey, Steelman this prompt. Where are the flaws? What can I do to argue against it? And then if you iterate that way, you'll find yourself going more in a fine-tuned tunnel rather than getting sidetracked by, oh, look at this pretty thing over here. Hey, did you want to really add an inventory with your sales data? Because maybe not, maybe, but if you really hone in that beginning work, you'll save yourself a lot of time.
Fascinating. Yeah, it seems like this whole AI programming is way less about pounding the energy drink and staying up all night to bang out step one or whatever step you're on. And it's becoming much more philosophical and like you almost need to be sitting back or taking a walk or something that's triggering the deeper thinking part of your brain rather than the tactical doer part of your brain. Is that kind of what
Yeah,
you're saying?
you definitely, even if you're a department of one, you have to think yourself as a leadership role with a bunch of, I think one of my developers call it, they're a bunch of methed out junior programmers is what AI agentic people are. Like they'll do really work, they'll do it really fast, but if you don't keep them honed in, they'll scatter and they'll hallucinate. But if you really put yourself as a leadership role in your agentic team, that's the draining part in me, but that's where you'll actually increase your productivity. And then you'll fail fast and you're like, okay, that didn't work, drop it. Something I can do with what I just did on the demo, doing a Power BI would probably take me a day, but an hour and a half, I'm like, okay, yep, they'll look good. I don't want to use it. I only wasted an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
that to me is a lot more valuable than running fast, but running fast in a good direction is the kind of key.
And so maybe taking breaks is important.
Yeah.
Have a 2 hour or 1 hour timer where you force yourself to get up, walk around, and reassess what it is you're actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've used the drug dealer analogy already a few times. I'll throw it out again. When you said methed out junior developers, like you can turn into a drug cartel really fast where you're like, yeah, I've got this massive thing with a ton of people doing work, but at the end of the day, what am I doing? I'm getting people hooked on drugs. This is awful. I need to have a better
Yeah.
goal. I like the
Yep.
goal part too. Like the goal becomes way more important here, and working backwards from that. Super good practical advice. Wow. Well, I don't know. Anything else, or do we wrap it up with that?
Yeah, I think we wrap it up with that. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Phil, thank you so much for going for so long here. I'll put your info up on the screen again. And super interesting that you've gone in the route of basically spinning up a consulting company to do this for others. Phil at razorelite.ai. That's where people can reach out to you. And super looking forward to keeping in touch and maybe even doing another episode in the future with you
Yeah.
because stuff is moving so fast and it's so interesting. And I think having a community where you're comparing with others and not consuming your own exhaust is even more important with this stuff. So super glad that I ran into you at Summit. I should mention it was at the DSD customer dinner. So thanks DSD for hosting that, and Trailed also for sponsoring that dinner. That's how we connected. And super great episode. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to work, and we'll be in touch.